I think in organizations, it starts from the top. You really, if you're in an organization and you feel this is a subject that isn't talked about, you need to find an ally at a senior level. Because if it happens at a ground roots level, you need to get more traction than that.
Cue music. Places, everybody places. We're starting in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Autoimmune Hour, where we look at the rise of autoimmune disorders. I've brought together top experts that range from doctors, specialists, nutritionists, researchers, and even those recovering from autoimmune to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information about autoimmunity and how to live your life uninterrupted.
Thank you for joining us here on the Autoimmune Hour with Sharon Sayler. Always seek sound legal, medical, and or professional advice regarding any problems, conditions, and any of the recommendations you see, hear, or read here on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio. Join the Autoimmune Hour's Courage Club. Sign up now at understandingautoimmune.com. Now, back to your host, Sharon Sayler.
Welcome, everyone, to the Autoimmune Hour. I'm Sharon Sayler from SharonSayler.com. And of course, understandingautoimmune.com, where you can find all of the episodes. We're closing in on 400 episodes. We got our start in 2015, January of 2015. Can you believe it? I can't, and I've been here. So let me take a sip of tea here. Want to get started? Yes, I've got chai tea again. I've got oat milk. No, not homemade. How's that? I used to do a lot of my homemade milks, but I don't know why. I got out of that. I guess I found one I liked, and that was easier. Anyway, oh my goodness. I have a dear friend on the show, and I caught her here stateside. She's from the UK. She's taking a much deserved 3-week sabbatical, taking her, just a glorious time here in the wilderness. And I wanted to talk to her about several things. She is Pat Duckworth. She is the founder of Smarter Menopause, and she is a women's health and workplace menopause strategist and consultant. And she specializes in working with businesses and organizations who are committed to supporting their colleagues in menopause. Definitely a much needed area and often overlooked. And she's also the author of 3 amazing books: How to Survive Her Menopause, A Practical Guide to Women's Healthcare for Men, which I love, Cool Recipes for Hot Women, How to Eat Your Way to a Healthy Menopause, as well as her very first work, her international bestseller for many months, Hot Women Rock, How to Discover Your Entrepreneurial Mojo. And this is all about women as they enter midlife, how they can mix it up and change their life into the life they want, even with menopause. So thanks for being on the show, Pat.
Oh, it's always a joy to speak with you, Sharon.
And congratulations for taking a much needed 3-week sabbatical, as we call them.
Well, I think we need to role model, Sharon, because women aren't great at self-care. We tend to try and help everybody else, and actually you need to take some time for yourself. As one of my dear friends says, we need to be sensibly selfish.
Oh, absolutely. And there's nothing selfish about self-care, I always say. And people will argue with me, and I'm like, look, if you're not doing well, if you're running yourself dry, when the well goes dry, who's going to do all that work you say you have to do? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I even love that you're having a chai tea, because there's so many good things in a chai tea. I'm sitting here with a hot water with lemon and fresh ginger in it. It's even these small things that we do that are around self-care, instead of thinking, I just quickly put a tea bag in or make a quick coffee, instant coffee. Just taking our time to make a nourishing drink is really important.
It is, and it's really important for those that you love as well. I just want to stress that again, that if you're not taking care of yourself, and when it all falls apart, then what? And this is a time, as we're coming out of COVID, I think a lot of people, and not just us ladies, but I think a lot of people really we're overwhelmed and we're like, oh my gosh, I've got so much either to catch up on or I want to do or something like that, that I still feel like everybody's in this state of overwhelm. And I wanted to applaud you for taking some time to step back and hug a tree or two and enjoy some nature. What are your thoughts about why we should go out there in nature?
I think our stress buckets have got really full.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know, if you think of like we've got a certain capacity to deal with stress, and then once it gets to a certain level, it just takes the smallest thing to tip us over into whether we get sick or we get angry or, all the things that happen when we get too stressed. We can even burn out and start to get really sick with it. So, taking some time out now that things, well, I don't know, things aren't really settling down. There's other stuff that's going on as well. We need to see our lives in this context of all the change that's been going on to ourselves, the people around us, the community around us. And so stepping back, taking some time out, for me, this is really important to, I get a lot of relaxation, a lot of calming down from being in nature, and the view from my window today of a small beaver lake with trees in the background, and the trees are just starting to turn color. And I know over the next 3 weeks, it'll be beautiful shades of gold and red. And I'm just going to appreciate every moment of it, step outside with my drink and breathe in the air. And it will do me so much good that when I get back, October's a really busy month because it's Menopause Awareness Month. I'll have more energy for that. I'll be able to give my menopause community more. I can give my husband more attention because I'm feeling more relaxed. And yeah, it's just a really good thing at this time of year, as we're kind of like our systems are closing down a bit for winter, is just kind of restocking with energy.
Oh, wow. I can just feel that. And I know you mentioned beforehand, there's a real beavers in your beaver pond. So
I'm really hoping to get out there later and get a picture of them because they have been beavering away. And apparently they're not so popular because they're blocking the culverts up that kind of keep the creek running. But I want to get out there and get a picture of them.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely enjoy it for sure. Now, I agree with you. I don't think that we're all through it, but I just feel more aware of change these days. I don't know why. I think about before, maybe it was some sort of rut, and all that we've been through in the past couple of years has made me more aware that of change. I don't think I'm handling it any different, but it feels different to me, as if I'm still saying this, and during the pandemic, it made sense to me, but I still feel that time is sped up and standing still all at the same time. And I'm just like, what's going on?
My relationship to time has changed completely. My watch stopped working. The battery ran out just as in the UK we went into the first lockdown. I don't know. It just stopped that day. And I'd
That
always,
little woo.
yeah, I had worn a watch every day since, I was 10. And it felt really peculiar to take a watch off, but suddenly I didn't need to have a watch on. And I haven't got back into wearing it because I don't know, time just seems to have got very weird. I have missed a couple of appointments, but mostly I'm more aware of what time it is. But I think we should tell people that this happens with every passing year, time speeds up.
Yes.
You need to know that because it can feel like somebody's cheated you. You get to a stage in your life where you want to be really enjoying things, and suddenly it's like, is it Saturday again already? Where did that week go? So I think we need to tell people time really does speed up as the years go on, and I can't believe how quickly time is going. And I've lost all relationship to what year things happened and what month things happened. I think I'm more in contact with what phase of the moon we're in now.
It's interesting you say that, because I've questioned, is this my advancing age? Is this menopause? Is this the pandemic? But that is so true for me too. I'm like, where did this week go? Here we are on another Saturday. Or where did this month go? Here we are in September. How did we get 9 months into this year?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. Is it sort of all of a relationship to all of the above? I mean,
I think it is. I can't totally blame menopause because I know I have this conversation with my husband because he's retired and, I'm still very busy. But we tend to mark our week by the day the garbage cans have to go out. Because that is one certainty in the week is the garbage cans have to go out on a Tuesday. And we have so many different types of garbage cans. It's like, which week is it and which ones have to go out this day? I know that sounds crazy, but
no,
that's the
I'm
one.
laughing because that's exactly here at home how we do it too. Like if it's Wednesday, it's not the highlight of the week for sure, but it is this interesting marker of, oh my gosh, the week's half over. It's garbage day.
I know. It's just crazy how we mark these things. And he says to me, it can't be this week already. And surely it's black bin day, but apparently it's green and blue bin day. Where did black bin day go? It's just this silliness of how quickly time goes by, and you're just trying to make sense of where you are in the week.
Yeah, so, yeah. That's not just I find that refreshing and comforting to know that's just not me. Sorry about that, Pat, but I do.
It's not just you. And I think, getting back to our main health subject, of course, I think women have a very different relationship to time because of having menstrual periods every month. We're very much in touch with time in a way that I don't think men are. What have they got to mark time apart from the watch that they're wearing? Whereas we tend to know where we are all of the time because, what state are my hormones in? Am I starting to get angry? Have I got premenstrual tension? Or, even is this my fertile time of the month? So I think we have a very different relationship to time. Once we haven't got that marker, once we stop having menstrual periods, we're kind of cast adrift. We've got to start keeping our own sense of time because we're not getting the same cues from our body that we used to get pre-menopause.
Wow.
Perhaps there's another book in that, Sharon.
Yeah, I was totally fast. I had never viewed it that way, but that just makes so much sense to me. As you're saying that, I'm like, yes, that battery stopped a while ago in that watch and was put on the shelf a while ago. Wow, that's interesting. That's fascinating. Now, you and I were just decided that when I found you were stateside, let's just chat and decided to record. Like, hey, we're having a good time. Let's just record here. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, though, is what you're doing now with menopause, and that's helping organizations understand. I mean, so many times women, well, even we'll just say women having any sort of menstrual problem, menstrual pain or menopause, any of that, the whole thing. So many times it's like you're sidelined or it's not understood or given, I'm not sure of the words I want. You'll explain it better, but I sure appreciate what you're doing out there to make organizations aware that this is not like a mental problem or it's just a fact of life. For at least 50% of their workforce.
Yeah, and it gets a lot more attention here in the UK, but it's growing in the US now. I now get emails from companies in the States saying, could we have a talk about what you could do for us and perhaps do some workshops? Because I think attention is turning to it. I'm really quite proud that in the UK, we have embraced this subject for several years now. In fact, I gave my first talk about it back in 2015.
Yeah.
Like 7 years ago, I went into a big government department. I was invited in to talk about it, and things have moved on from there. Now, that's partly because we have a law. We have the Equality Act, which says that employers can't discriminate against people for certain characteristics, and it's gender, age, disability, sexuality, and there are more as well. There's like 8 characteristics. So here, employers have more embraced this idea of, well, where are we discriminating? Is there another area that we need to be thinking about? And this area of menopause comes under age, gender, and can come under disability as well. We know that menopause is just a natural stage of life, but for some women, their experience of it, they have intense and frequent symptoms and have to take medication and perhaps need to go and see, their medical practitioner more. And it has a huge impact on their working life and their personal life, to the extent that it can be classed as a disability. So it has woken employers up, both in the public and the private sector, to thinking about, well, what are we missing out on here? And we know that during COVID, a lot of people who could made the decision to step away from their careers, particularly people who were coming up for retirement. And we now have not enough people in the workplace. The last thing employers want to do is to lose experienced, knowledgeable, really valuable staff for reasons that they don't understand. And menopause is one of those reasons. Some women feel like they just can't do their jobs as well, and they can't talk to their manager about it. And instead of being able to have the conversation, they just make the decision just to step away from their career. And the employers are like, why do we lose these women? Well, because you're not creating a culture where they could talk about it. And maybe they only need a little bit of assistance, a little bit of support, nothing expensive. We're not talking about equipment or anything. We're just talking about providing some support and providing a culture where it can be talked about.
Bravo. Thank you. Much
Sorry,
needed.
that was a lot of passion, wasn't there?
Oh, don't be sorry. What's one thing I love about you, Pat, is you always bring passion to your topics. And one thing I'm curious about is I see some similarities, because to me, menopause in lots of ways is invisible. Well, she looks fine. They can't tell what's going on inside. But autoimmune oftentimes is called invisible illnesses with people with autoimmune. Well, you look fine, and not an understanding. And then I've heard a lot of women say, once I reached a certain age, I became invisible, and not knowing exactly whatever that was about. And just, I love that you're bringing people together and teaching them how to have conversations about these taboo topics, including menopause. Gosh, I remember from my teen years and my mother, and it was sort of just, we don't talk about that kind of stuff. What are some tips that you have for people to open up conversations about some of these topics?
Well, I think in organizations, it starts from the top. If you're in an organization and you feel this is a subject that isn't talked about, you need to find an ally at a senior level. Because if it happens at a ground roots level, you need to get more traction than that, and that comes from the culture of the organization, whether it has an open culture around conversations, around any kind of sensitive issue, and health, mental health, emotional health. These can all be really sensitive subjects. So you need a culture where everybody feels they can talk about that. Now, I know that when I was going through menopause and I had brain fog, even though I knew quite a lot about menopause then, I wasn't an expert then, but I'd still done my research about it. I didn't recognize that it was brain fog and it was menopause. I just thought there was something wrong with my glasses. I thought I was just not seeing the world clearly. I seriously thought there was something wrong with my eyes, because everything seemed to have got blurry. And I couldn't kind of make decisions in the same way. And I thought, what is this? I was getting my eyes tested and my eyes were fine, but I still couldn't see the world in the clarity that I had done before. But I couldn't have talked to my manager about it. I couldn't have done. So he wasn't that kind of a guy. And I'm not saying that it's just male managers, because it can be female managers. younger female managers, older female managers. This isn't just like a women's issue. This is an empathy issue. This is, creating managers who are able to open up and talk to their staff. So I think it's finding an ally. If you're at a senior level, then obviously, you can influence what goes on. If you're at a more junior level, it's getting that person, whether they don't have to be in human resources, they might be in talent development, they might be in equality, diversity, and inclusion. There may be a number of roles, occupational health, somebody who is willing to say, yeah, this is something that I want to take to a higher level, and then start a communication strategy around it so that there are sources of information that not just women, that men can go to understand more about it. This is about educating everybody. It's not one single person problem.
That's wonderful. And I so agree that we could take that, and I'll expand that in my own mind. As you mentioned, brain fog, a couple of things came to my mind where a lot of people with autoimmune have brain fog. I tend to think of it, brain fog is, this is the science of Sharon, guys. So there's my asterisk, is brain inflammation. And so people with autoimmune disorders, that's not an unusual symptom. Brain fog or brain inflammation is not an unusual symptom. And now with long COVID, I was recently reading studies where brain fog is definitely one of the primary symptoms. And I'm hopeful that perhaps with that many people walking around going, okay, something's different, I'm not thinking the way I used to be able to think, perhaps there'll be enough more studies on brain fog to where we'll all benefit from it.
Yeah, and there, like you, I'm kind of hopeful that some of this has shifted research on, because even though we're sort of early days scientifically post the main part of COVID, so there are still lots of research programs going on into who got affected and how did they get affected. And it seemed as though women post-menopause were having more symptoms than women pre-menopause. And what was the difference? Well, mainly it was a difference in levels of estrogen. And of course, women's brains are powered by estrogen. Men's brains aren't. I'm not sure what powers men's brains.
You read my mind again.
I mean, there is something to do with testosterone there, but women's brains are heavily reliant on estrogen, and the lower levels of estrogen affect the way our brain functions. It affects our ability to regulate our bodies. It affects how we regulate sleep, how we regulate our temperature, how we regulate our appetite. All of that. I mean, estrogen affects over 200 processes in the body. Wow. So it's not surprising that if you're fighting off a virus, then, and it's affecting lots of your body's systems, and you don't have as much estrogen as you used to, it's going to be harder. So there are definitely research going on. I know there was a university in the UK that was looking into whether supplementing estrogen levels would be one way of helping women post-menopause with long COVID. I don't know how far that research has got. As I say, we are pretty much in early days with all of this. So I think this kind of stage that we're at with research is really helpful. And of course, I say of course because I spend all my time in this area, but there's really important research going on into neuroscience and what is happening in women's brains with lower levels of estrogen, and whether that affects other aspects of our brain function. So, women's health has been pretty much underinvested in. There hasn't been that much research because we're complicated. Our bodies and our brains are so much more complicated that it's much easier to research on men. It's even easier to research on male rats than female rats. But hopefully now we're starting to get a bit more interest in, well, what's actually happening and what are the body's chemicals that are affecting our responses to these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I thought about as you were talking was a few years ago, I was talking to my rheumatologist for my autoimmune, and I was commenting on how I was having sleep disturbances and a couple of other things like some night sweats and things. And I was thinking, what is it about my autoimmune? And she looked at me and kind of took off her glasses and, well, Sharon, it could be menopause.
Yeah.
I was just like taken aback. That had never entered my mind. My whole focus had been on how do I optimize and achieve wellness from this autoimmune condition that I had never made. I know it sounds silly. I mean, I was the right age and everything else was happening, but I'd never made the correlation that obviously all these symptoms in my mind had to be autoimmune related. I never put them into anything, whether now, of course, this was pre-COVID, so menopause, or is now we're adding on COVID and there's studies trying to decide whether it's one of the latent viruses like the Epstein-Barr that can hang around and be re-triggered. So there's just so much fascinating questions we have about our health and what's to happen in the future. I'm excited though that there seems to be some interest in solving these questions.
Yeah, and there's so many ways we could go with this conversation. I'm just holding myself back a bit here.
Well,
But
you go for it.
well, sometimes women say to me, well, how do I know if I'm in perimenopause, the stage before menopause? Is there a test? Should I go and get a test kit? And I go, no, how old are you? And they say, oh, I'm 48, 49. I say, okay, you're in perimenopause. There you go. How much were you going to pay for a test? Just send me the money. Because there is no reliable test. And the reason I mention this is because I was contacted by a company who are they're creating a new test because most tests rely on measuring the levels of the reproductive hormones, estrogen, progesterone, follicle stimulating hormone. Those are the main ones that they test to see whether you're in perimenopause. But when you're in that stage, your hormones are still cycling. They're still going up and down, just more erratically than they used to. So you can test one day, get one result, test another day, get a different result. So this company said, well, what else is going on? And they said there's something about how women process sugars that changes at menopause. Now, men's ability to process sugar changes as they get older, but it tends to go in like a slow descent. Let's just say they're on a gradual and slow descent. And gradually, as they get older, they can process sugars less well than they used to. And that's why I tend to put on weight as they get older. Women are doing much better initially. And then suddenly menopause happens, and there's like this cliff edge drop in their ability to process sugars. So they're saying, well, we could do a test where that's what we're looking at. Instead of trying to measure the hormones, which are, a bit unreliable, this test would actually say, well, the fact that you can't process sugar as well means that you're actually going through menopause.
Wow. Tell me more. This is new.
Really interesting.
This is new information to me. So does that
Yeah.
explain why a lot of women who might say, I used to be okay, and then all of a sudden I can't, my weight just fell off, just exploded?
Yeah. So the most popular Google search related to menopause is weight gain. The most popular search, because women go, what is happening to my weight? And the lower levels of estrogen affect the production of our major hormones. So we mentioned briefly stress. We can always talk more about that. But actually going into menopause affects the adrenal glands. And so we get more anxious and more easily stressed. But it also affects our pancreas and our ability to produce insulin. So we become more insulin resistant as we're going through menopause.
Well, that explains it.
And it affects our thyroid as well. So there is a perfect storm at this age, which means that you might have been maintaining your weight pretty well, and then suddenly what is this? I've got this spare tire around my waist and my belly's popping out. And, I used to be able to just cut back a bit on this and I'd be fine. And none of it works anymore. No, it doesn't. And you have to really, I see this stage of life as a real possibility to reassess your lifestyle, to think, okay, how I lived before, it's not working for me now. If I want to be healthy, if I want to have a platform for a healthy next 30, 40, 50 years, I need to reassess because my body is not the same as it was. And I need to look at what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, how I'm handling my stress, my lifestyle, because that's the way to have really firm foundations for the second half of your life. You can't live as you did when you were 18 years old. You might still feel like you're 18 years old, but your body isn't anymore.
Wow. And what you just said went through my mind the minute I got my autoimmune diagnosis as well. Okay, I can't live the way I had been living because what I was doing then obviously got me here. So that's interesting. And then for most women, when they start to get their autoimmune diagnosis, although unfortunately the demographics are going lower and lower, that they're usually around 40 to 50, 60 years old where they'll get a diagnosis as an autoimmune condition too. So whether you're just going through menopause or you're going through menopause plus something else, definitely a time to reassess.
Really important. Instead of just ignoring it and thinking, oh, I can just power through this, get to the other side, I'll be fine. No, it's like your body is sending you a wake-up call and saying it's time to look again at how you're living your life. And, I am 14, 15 years past my menopause now, and I feel great. I have changed some of the things. I don't feel deprived. I'm not living the life of a nun. I'm having a great time. And I'm supporting my body so that it can carry on doing what it needs to do.
Mm. So aside from taking care of hormones and things like that, what are some of the changes you made? Was there diet? I know a lot of people talk about sleep disruption in menopause as well as with autoimmune. What are some of the changes that you suggest?
Yes, so some of them aren't very popular, okay?
Okay.
A lot of women enjoy their glass of wine in the evening. And honestly, at this stage of life, alcohol is not your best friend. In fact, it's one of those false friends that says, hey, come on, let's go out and party. And then leaves you standing in the corner and stabs you in the back. Because,
my goodness, what a visual. Okay.
I know. Yeah, it really is a false friend because women say to me, oh, it helps me relax. It helps me to go to sleep. It's what I look forward to. I think, yeah, and it's disrupting your sleep. You're not getting a normal sleep cycle. You're not getting a natural sleep cycle. It's got empty calories in it, so it's putting on weight. It's stressing your system out. It's stressing your liver, and then your body's got to process it all. So it's not popular, but I do say to women, just notice what happens. Give it up for a month. If it makes no difference, it makes no difference. But if you start to go, do you know what? I did sleep a bit better and I wasn't having night sweat. And, perhaps I have lost a pound or two. There's the message, carry on with it because there's a price to pay. And, here's a really important one, exercise. So this is not the time to take up marathon running.
Okay.
You'll be pleased to hear that.
Yes, I am pleased to hear that.
Free pass, don't take up marathon running. So long periods of cardiovascular exercise like running, cycling for long distances raises the level of cortisol in your system and helps to inflame your system. We talked a little bit about inflammation. We don't want inflammation in our system at this stage of life. So start to reassess your exercise as well. It's really good to do some form of resistance exercise. And I don't mean just resist exercising. I mean resistance exercise. So weight type exercise, high intensity interval training is fine. Mixing it up a bit because we need the exercise to help our bone growth and to help with our muscles, doing stretching exercises, yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, one of my favorites. So it's mixing up the exercise, going to a dance class, a Zumba class, doing something you enjoy, but really don't take up any exercise that's going to be long periods of cardiovascular, because you're just kind of irritating your adrenal glands and you don't want to be doing that. So yeah, another opportunity to reassess your exercise.
Well, I wasn't going to take that up. I am curious though, is there any science if you had been doing that before, can you continue to do it? Not that I have, but just a thought.
Yeah, I think if you'd already been doing it, you're probably okay. But I would say for everyone, like, don't just do one form of exercise. We need, as I say, we need the weight-bearing exercise to help stimulate our bones, because our bone growth is affected by lower levels of estrogen as well. But we need to keep supple, and we need to keep our muscles strong in our arms and upper body as well as in our legs. So it's mixing the exercise up, and don't take up anything you don't enjoy, because you won't keep doing it. I've got to go to my exercise class. Nobody wants that. But if you like dancing, or you like being out in the garden and gardening, I always talk about it as the green gym, because, you get a serious workout in the garden, but do something you enjoy. If you like going out and walking with friends, go walk with friends. If you like swimming, go and do that. Do something that you enjoy doing and mix it up so you're getting a good variety of exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. That's critically important. And as I was noticing, the mixing it up part to me is important. I had a couple that I was doing constantly and consistently, and I was recently just noticing, okay, I got to add in some flexibility and some other types of things that are just changing up that used to be different. So I think that's the thing for me is I don't know. I used to, this is terrible, but true confession time here. I used to look at people that were significantly older than me and think, oh, well, I'll never be there because I take care of myself, thinking that, eating that salad and, biking or whatever was the answer. And then when you get on this side, you're like, nope, that wasn't the answer.
Yeah, I'm staying active. I think is just so incredibly important. And for me, we've said I'm on retreat up here in the wilderness, getting out in nature. Nature is just so good for our mental health and our physical health, our emotional health. So walking in nature, if you can walk a little bit faster at some stages, a bit slower at other ones, you're giving your heart the workout it needs, but keeping that flexibility. I always used to say, I'm not going to yoga because I'm useless at yoga. And yoga teachers say to you, Pat, nobody's useless at yoga. We're all at the level we're at. And I go, yeah, and the level I'm at is useless. But I have started going to a yoga class in this past year. And I've found, again, it's finding the class that suits you. And there's so many different yoga classes now. You get yin yoga and restorative yoga, and there's every type of yoga. Find a class that suits you and that you enjoy, and go do that. And you won't be a yogista first off. You find your spot at the back of the class and you get there early and claim it. That's what I do. I've claimed my spot. That's where I'm sticking. Not that honestly anybody's interested in what you can do and can't do anyway, but I'm now enjoying it. I'm going to say enjoying it. I do keep going anyway.
That's the thing. You keep going. And time keeps going here. We need to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to chat some more about, I don't know. We'll chat some more with Pat about anything that pops up. We'll be right back.
Life Interrupted Radio will return after these messages from our sponsors. It's great sponsors like these that keep this show coming to you every week. Be sure and stop by lifeinterruptedradio.com to learn more.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
If you're worried your friend may be struggling, remember, you don't have to be there to be there. You You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You could ask on your couch while you binge watch. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Sharon, and of course you know me from here on the Autoimmune Hour. Maybe you don't know I'm also an author. My latest book is for kids. It's Pinky Chenille and the Rainbow Hunters, a winner of a 5-star reader's favorite review. It's perfect for your early reader and a great bedtime story for your young adventurers. Check it out over at pinkychenille.com. That's PinkyChenille.com. See you there. Welcome back, everyone, to the Autoimmune Hour. I'm Sharon Sayler from SharonSayler.com, and I'm here with Pat Duckworth, and she's from PatDuckworth.com, and she's also the author of 3 amazing books on how to survive her menopause, a practical guide for women's health for men, cool recipes for hot women, and that's how to eat your way to a healthy menopause, and Hot Women Rock, how to discover your entrepreneurial mojo, and that one hit international bestseller. So congratulations, Pat.
Thank you.
I just love getting together with you. We've been all over the map here in our conversation and really appreciate it. One of the things I wanted to talk about, though, is the cool recipes, and also you had mentioned previously about Menopause Awareness Month coming up, so I want to be sure and hit that. But are there specific things that will help women that maybe we're not all eating yet?
So the main things, first off, really get aware of your symptom triggers. If there's something you're eating and there's a pattern that when you eat that thing, you get hot flushes or you don't sleep so well or something else happens, it's the food. So
quit eating it.
Absolutely. Or, reduce it, see what happens, and really just getting more tuned into the fact that your nutrition affects your symptoms. And then in terms of what you should be eating at menopause, or I don't like shoulds, what you could be eating. So most of the research is now pointing to the best form of eating at menopause points towards the Mediterranean diet. So making sure that you're eating lean protein, that you're getting enough vegetables, that you're getting healthy oils, the olive oil, the avocado oil, because we need those oils in our system. We need the omega-3s that we get from eating oils. So basically, a Mediterranean diet is a good thing at this stage of life. It also supports brain health as well. And then thinking about what you can include, I tell you what is your best friend. Linseed seeds are your best friend. Flax seeds or linseeds are really your best friend.
Now, does it matter if they're processed? Because I've seen like flaxseed flowers versus the whole flaxseed.
You want the whole flaxseed, but ground, because otherwise, the really shiny golden linseed, how can I say this delicately? You eat it and it slips right through. That's okay. I'm going no further than that. So really,
we get the idea.
We need it to be cracked open. But putting linseed in your cereal, your breakfast in the morning, or in your smoothies, or sprinkling it over your salad, or putting it in your baking. Linseeds have things that are called phytoestrogens. So that begins with a PH. And these are plant estrogens, and they come in at a sort of low level of estrogen that's just supporting your system. And so linseeds are really magical at this stage of life. They have other things in them too. They have lots of healthy omega-3 oils in them. Even those tiny little seeds are really good for us. But there are other foods that have phytoestrogens in them as well. And you can find them in things like chickpeas and lentils and the fermented soyas, rather than raw soya or soya milk. Miso, tempeh, tofu, really good sources of phytoestrogen. And so sprouting seeds is a good way of getting phytoestrogens as well. If you have the time, quite a good relaxing thing to do is to sprout some seeds. So things like red clover, sprouting the seeds of that and putting it on your salads is really good. So looking out for things that help to supplement our hormone level is a good thing to do. Look up phytoestrogens, phytoestrogens, phytoestrogens.
Now, probably a stupid question, but if I'm putting this on my salads, can I put it on my spouse's?
Yeah.
You know, or the men in my family? I mean, can it just be I mean, I know it's a stupid question, but
it's low level of estrogen, and it often comes up as a question as well, that if you have estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, can you eat phytoestrogens? And in a few years ago, the answer was, oh, you need to be really careful. But now most oncologists would say, yeah, it's low levels of estrogen. It's just supplementing your system, and it's healthy for you to eat. So no, the guys in your life can eat it too. Nothing's going to happen bad to them.
Okay. Well,
they might get more sensitive. I don't know.
Well, I just thought I would ask. I mean, it went through my brain. It might go through somebody in my community's brain. So I just thought I would ask. Thank you for clearing that up. Now, you call it linseed over there on your side of the pond, and you're saying we call it flaxseed over here, right?
Saying sometimes it might even depend on what you're using it for. Sometimes it's called flaxseed. Sometimes it's called linseed. It's the same thing. It's from the same plant.
Well, when you say that, it makes me think of where we are. It's in Filbert country, and the rest of the world calls them hazelnuts, but they're the same.
Do you know what we call arugula?
No.
Rocket.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It grows like a rocket. So when I came here and they would say, oh, we'll put arugula on it, I go, what's that? Oh, it's rocket. We just call it rocket.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's why I was just clearing that up. It's like, I never know what we call them, different things. Okay. We're just down to the last 5 minutes or so. And I wanted to talk about menopause awareness. I'm really a huge supporter of making all people more aware of it, that it's a natural thing. It's not anything that we're going to avoid. It's, well, I suppose if you want to leave this planet early, but other than that, which is kind of extreme. Well, let's talk about how we can help raise awareness of menopause, and that it's a natural, normal thing.
Yeah. So first of all, I would say look for trusted sources of information about menopause. So in America, you have the North American Menopause Society, NAMS. You've got the International Menopause Society. And in the UK, we have the British Menopause Society. These are trusted sources of information. And so World Menopause Day is on the 18th of October, but the whole of October is menopause awareness. Now, you could do something in your office or in your community to mark the day or the month. There's things called menopause cafes. And if you go onto the internet and look at menopausecafe.net, you'll see that you can just organize a get together. You don't have to have a speaker. In fact, they don't want you to have a speaker. They just want you to have tea, coffee, cakes, and be able to sit down and have conversation in a way that's like open, and you can share what you're experiencing. So if you wanted to host one of those, go and have a look at the Menopause Cafe website. Think, well, how can I just bring some people together? You can do it in your own home. Lots of people in the UK do it in workspace. Just to say, this is a safe place where you can come and talk about it, open to everybody. It's not gender specific or age specific. It's open to everybody just to come and be able to talk a bit more freely. And as I say, you don't have a speaker, nobody's the expert, and nobody's recommending a product or doing any sales. It's just a chat. And I think that's a really lovely idea of something that you can do during that month.
I love that, because so often if we're going through menopause in isolation and things happen, it's a matter of like, not only is that normal, but sometimes confirming your own sanity is nice. Having someone say, oh, no, that's fine. That's normal. That's this or that's that.
I found that when I run online courses, I can get to the end of a 6-week course and I've given loads of information and everybody's been in the group. And I get to the end and I say, what was the most impactful thing about this? They said, being able to talk about it. I think, what was I doing for the 6 weeks? But that was the most important. I get that feedback every time. Being able to talk about it was the most important thing.
I think that's for a lot of things. I hear that about understandingautoimmune.com, and as I'm not alone. It's not just me going through this. It's really critically important.
Yeah.
And any final thoughts before we have to wrap up, Pat?
We've shared so many thoughts.
Oh, I know. This was just one of those times where we're just having a good conversation and say, let's hit record. So,
yeah, I would just say that this isn't just a middle-aged women's thing. You know that there are women who go through menopause early. There are women who go through menopause because of medical conditions, who go through menopause because of hysterectomies. There are transgender people going through menopause because of treatment for transgender. So let's forget this as a older women problem. Let's just embrace it as a stage of life that we can all talk about. And through just talking about it, we can support each other. That's the important message.
And that's a beautiful message, Pat. Thank you for sharing that with us. And we want to get that out to as many people as we can. Everyone, that's Pat Duckworth from patduckworth.com. We'll have that up on understandingautoimmune.com if you want to get more of that. And we'll also have the names and titles of her books that you can reach out to Pat about as well. And everyone, have a great week. Whatever your adventures, join me for another episode next week. Enjoy.
The information provided on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio, including the websites understandingautoimmune.com and lifeinterruptedradio.com, plus social media, is for educational purposes only. What you read, hear, and see on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio, and its websites, and other media outlets is based on experience only. The information should never be used for any legal, diagnostic, or treatment purposes.
In the next few moments, take a nice, deep breath. And keep breathing, enjoying that breath as you kind of shake it all out. Let it go. That's right. Just shake it out. Shake everything out. That's right. Just right. That's right. Grateful for this moment right here, right now, feeling every bit of you alive and well, feeling healing and soothing and calming energy just tingle throughout you. Getting stronger with each breath as your gratitude begins to grow. Oh, that's right. Wow. Taking the last few minutes of our time together here right now, just to enjoy this growing gratitude list that grows with each moment, each minute, each hour, each day. That's right. And coming right back now, alive, full of energy, happy to be here, Enjoy, that's right, and feeling grateful for every moment that you have right now. Oh, wow, welcome back. Go in gratitude and enjoy your day.
Research shows we apologize up to 10 times a day, and most of the time, we say sorry as a response to someone else's mistake. What if we thanked people instead of all that unnecessary apologizing? So instead of saying, sorry, I'm rambling, you say, thank you for listening. Join us at projectforgive.com, a free, non-religious resource on global forgiveness.
Do you want to be a better leader, have better relationships, become more self-aware, be a better communicator? Hi, I'm Sharon Sayler, best-selling author, professional speaker, and executive coach. And my life passion is empowering professionals to be the best that they can be. After years of working with professionals, I've discovered the 7 things nobody is telling you that can cost you your clients, sales, and even your career. And I want to give it to you free. You've heard my show, you know my passion, and maybe we'll be working together sooner rather than later. So go grab this ebook now to find out the 7 things that's costing you big time over at SharonSayler.com/radio gift.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.